So, at our Constitutional Convention, there were two big compromises, the Great Compromise and the Three-Fifths Compromise. But along with all of the things that they discussed, there were two distinct groups that formed out of this Constitutional Convention. One group was the Federalists, and the other group were the Anti-Federalists. We're going to be taking notes about the Federalists today. So let's turn our notebooks to landscape mode, I guess. And at the top here, above the red line, let's write the word Federalist. 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 I hope you're hearing a word in there that you've probably heard a couple times before in this class and maybe others. That word is federal. Federal. And what federal means is national. Federal means national. So you can imagine that these guys were wanting something to do nationally as part of the big central government. Federal, national, central all mean the same thing. So the way we're going to take notes is we're going to divide our paper here into two different parts. So with our blue here, let's make a line right down the middle, all the way to the crease in your notebook, separating two sides of the Federalist side. Now, what I need us to do is we're going to be taking notes on the right side and drawing a picture on the left side. So I'm going to move this over just a little bit so we can have this whole thing in our view. So, when we talk about the Federalists, we know that they have national ideas in mind. And so the first thing we need to know about them is they wanted a strong national government. They wanted a strong national government. But one thing about that is they wanted a government controlled by wealthy and well-educated people. That was a big deal. They wanted the government to not fall into hands of people who wouldn't know any better. They wanted well-educated, well-read, well-versed, well-spoken people running their government. And usually those that are well-educated are wealthy. So they wanted to have policies, bills, and laws that favor trade. Because, as you can imagine, being wealthy and well-educated, they wanted to increase business and finance. They were in favor of a national bank. There's that word again, national, 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 national. Okay? The Federalists wanted a national bank. They also wanted protective tariffs. I think there's one R and two F's in that. Or a tariff is a tax on an import. They wanted to protect those. They also wanted to be allies with Britain, not France. They actually didn't like France at all. So they wanted to have strong ties with Britain, and there were several people who were famous Federalists. John Adams was one. John Adams. A man named Alexander Hamilton. And James Madison. maybe one of the most famous that I don't know if you really knew he was a Federalist was George Washington. Okay, George Washington. Now, let's see, just so you can hopefully see this pretty well, I'm going to maybe use a green so you can see it pretty well. What we wanted to do as a Federalist, we wanted to avoid problems created by the AOC. Avoid problems created by the AOC. We know the AOC is the Articles of Confederation. Okay, so we wanted to avoid problems created by the Articles of Confederation, and so we wanted to have a strong national government controlled by well-educated people, favoring trade, protecting tariffs, aligning ourselves with Britain. So there's our important notes about the Federalists. And so let's draw a picture to go with the Federalists. The Federalists need a big giant F for Federalist. We know that they loved the central government. Let's put some hearts around that. Oh, I can't even draw hearts. They loved the central government. Loved, loved, loved the central government. Okay? Loved the central government. There were a couple guys. There was James Madison. He became the father of the Constitution. He became the father of the Constitution. One thing about these guys is they did not think we needed a Bill of Rights. Did not think we needed a Bill of Rights. James Madison and Alexander Hamilton wrote the Federalist Papers. The Federalist Papers. These were anonymously written, and promoted the ratification of the Constitution. Okay? So the purpose of these, they were anonymous, promoted the ratification, and it was all to support the ratification of the Constitution. The agreeing to. Remember, the word ratify means to agree. Okay? So that was their purpose. And so these papers were anonymously written. There were several hundred papers written of the Federalist Papers, all supporting the states, all helping the states, urging the states to ratify the Constitution, agree to the Constitution. Remember, they did not think we needed a Bill of Rights. James Madison was the main guy here, and he was the father of the Constitution. Those are your Federalists. Know them. Bye.